Namaste, Salam Alaikum, and very good morning, friends from Nepal. Nepal is a secretariat country for Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation. It is a global network for changing narratives around menstruation, from 5 days building to life cycle approach and from hygiene to dignity. Currently, we have been working all around the globe through engaging more than 75 organizations. It also have been doing research, trainings, and publications at various settings and areas. You can find the research reports and books in our website, www.dignifiedmenstruation.org or through Amazon.com. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great honor and privilege indeed. I really appreciate the work what Menstrual Digna has been doing for long. While talking about the menstruation at workplace, we have to think very broadly. It sounds like a vague because we cannot imagine the place, any workplace, without menstruators. For example, home, school, college, university, garment factory, police office, court, jail, parliament, everywhere. And we also need to think whether they are working or engaging formally or informally. Whatever the case, either formal or informal, or at home, or at school, or at your multinational company, a private company, all menstruators, they deserve the menstrual dignity along with the safety, security, and equal pay. Often we more focus on gender equal pay, and there's a campaign for gender equal pay too. And if we go through the Sustainable Development Goal, the goal number 8 is about decent work, and many organizations who are working around the decent work, they have been advocating a lot about it. But I like to share few examples whether these conditions are really decent or really dignified or not. For example, during the COVID pandemic in UN, China, while distributing the relief materials, particularly in the hospitals, the doctors and nurses did not get the menstrual product along with the PP set. That means they have to work. We all know that the WHO announced more than 70% frontliner health workers are menstruators. They could be the female security personnel, doctor or nurse or cook or any helper or anyone. And then their needs and priorities regards to the dignified menstruation were not addressed during the COVID pandemic. It was not only in China. We can see the same scenario in India and Nepal too. And I strongly believe that the other countries, they also did not address the needs and priorities of the menstruators while responding the COVID pandemic. Because when the WHO declared the COVID as a pandemic, and then different working committees, steering committees, the UN, INGOs developed and shared the gender responsive COVID response guideline. And these guidelines did not talk about the priorities, needs of the menstruators while they were working for COVID pandemic. So likewise, you can say that, oh, it was an emergency and it was a COVID pandemic, the global community was not prepared, that is why it was happening like that. If so, what are the situation in the garment factory? In India, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, in a garment factory, during menstruation, particularly the women and girls who were working there, they were not allowed to continue their work. They forced to take unpaid leave. In one way, there was no facility for maintaining their sanitation. I mean, for changing the menstrual pad or menstrual product, or cleaning or drying the clothes or using the toilets. That kind of things are not in place. At the meantime, the menstruators who touch the raw materials, the items, and these considered impure, unholy, bad luck. That is why they could not continue. In the meantime, there were other men members, even female members, did not allow to touch with the menstruators. They consider as a contamination with the bad thing, bad luck. So this is how the workplace yet to address the needs and priorities of the workplace. And if we go in the regular basis, for example, schools, when we talk about the menstruation, mostly people think about only the bleeding days, 5 days of the bleeding, but the dignified menstruation claim for the life cycle approach. That means it has to go throughout the life cycle from womb to tomb. And those menstruators who have uterus and ovaries, they have gone through the menopause as well. And often we confine with the taboo, the stigma, the restrictions, the denial of resources and services with the 5 days of the bleeding. But we forget the menopause, perimenopause, or menopause, or postmenopause. Few menstruators experiences moderate and severe types of symptoms, which are really interrupting their daily activities, and that kind of things we are not discussing it. In UK, out of 10 menopausal women, 9 women experience moderate to severe types of menopausal symptoms, and which is really important to address. If the schools management committee doesn't understand what does mean by the menopausal symptom and its impact in the personal, relational, and workplace relationship, it is very difficult to handle, and it will be the loss for the menstruators as well as the students and entire community. And this is how, while we talk about the menstruation at workplace, either it is hospital or garment factory or school, it should be align with the dignified menstruation friendly indicators. That means they have to talk about it openly. There should be the policy, and that also apply to the sports as well. Many girls in many countries, many cultures, first they are not proactively join the sports as boys because they have to menstruate and they have to give the childbirth and they considered the weak. And if they engage in the sports, they may have a bad future while having the menstruation or childbirth or the menopause. That was the rumors or myth. So the sports also have to consider the special needs and priorities of the menstruators. Globally, right now, only 27% women are working as a CEO, and many women are competent. They have the same level of marks, or they secured the distinction is like men, but they are not getting the equal position and equal salary because they consider weak. Women menstruate, they have the mood swing, they have menopause, they are weak, they have to take the leave for the babies. So these kind of things surround it while we talk about the equal pay and equal participation of the menstruators in a private sectors as well. And as I have already highlighted briefly, the Sustainable Development Goal number 8 is all about the decent work, and UN, particularly the ILO, International Labour Organization, worked on it tirelessly, and they also developed the one resolution which is called ILOC 190, and even which came only in 2019. Unfortunately, even that very current document did not highlight it about the urgency of dignified menstruation at workplace, regardless of formal or informal work setting. So, in this connection, I strongly recommended to the organizations, no matter which or where they are, they need to consider few points while we talk about dignified menstruation friendly workplace. Number one, for addressing the systemic impact of the menstrual discrimination, dignified menstruation should be an integral part of decent work environment. The UN and other development partners need to expand the definition and the scope of decent work to include the needs and priorities of menstruators. Here, I am not explaining about the menstrual discrimination. Actually, you can find the details information in book and in our website. Menstrual discrimination is a complex and multifaceted nature, which includes the taboos, stigma, shyness, restriction, abuses, deprivation from services and resources that associated with the menstruation throughout the life cycle of the menstruators. And it has a very pivotal role for construction of the power and patriarchy that impact throughout the life cycle of the menstruators. So that is why that part, that the gravity, that scope is really missing in a course of not only the decent work, but also in an area of the women empowerment or girls empowerment or girls' right or entire human rights discourse. So that should be very important. And likewise, the number second, the stakeholders need to acknowledge that menstrual discrimination is a direct cause of the effect of gender-based violence, discrimination and inequality at formal and informal workplaces. Usually we always think, oh, there is a there is no equal pay. There is a no health insurance for the women or the temporary staffs or something like that. And mostly we focus on only the sexual abuse or rape, or broken the hands because of the something wrong on machine, something like that. We more focus on that. But if we analyze in a micro level, we see the role of the menstrual discrimination and how the menstrual discrimination oppressed, dominated the menstruators, particularly the girls and women in our workplace, that we can see, and this is how it plays is a cause and effect. That part also need to be acknowledged, and likewise, the organization policies and practices should be in place for responding to create dignified or address the needs and priorities of the menstruators. Workplace should at least discuss about menstrual issues, brochures available, arrange talks on dignified menstruation, provide privacy for toileting and waste disposal, supplies for hygiene like running water, soap, or menstrual product, flexibility with scheduling and leave and options for the jobs, shifting or job sharing, and also important to include or address education regarding menstruation, menstrual discrimination, dignified menstruation, pain management, counseling, and advantage, disadvantage of hormonal therapy for the perimenopausal and menopausal women, and also the guidelines or code of conduct at the workplace. And number one, these same policies and practices should be expanded to accommodate women's ongoing needs throughout their menstruating life cycle and demonstrate to women undergoing perimenopause and menopause that their contribution to the workforce and the well-being of the society is valued and respected. And often it is a contradictory because we globally we keep talking about the human right dignity all the time, but we are not really focusing on the dignity of the menstruators. And often it also look like the ironic, even the developed countries like UK, they really don't consider the menstrual discrimination is a serious issue. Why I'm claiming this? Because they only focus on the product of the tax, and in many nursing, medical, and public health universities aid to endorse the need and priorities of the dignified menopause. And many menopausal experienced women struggle a lot, and it took about 9 years to diagnose. So this is how we can confirm that how much the issue of dignified menstruation and menopause is overlooked globally. So in this connection, I appeal to everyone. Let's go beyond the product, beyond the management, menstruation management, and let's go beyond the 5 days of the bleeding. If we go through the lens of the menstrual dignity, we can create the dignified menstruation friendly workplace everywhere, no matter where we are and what kind of work we have been doing. And through this talk, I also appeal to UN to acknowledge the menstrual discrimination is a form of sexual and gender-based violence and violation of the human right. Therefore, endorse the 8th December as a Dignified Menstruation Day. And at last but not least, I appeal to everyone to mark the upcoming 8th December, which is the 5th International Dignified Menstruation Day. And this year, we will be marking over 75 countries all around the globe, and the number of the organizations are increasing. And we are really happy and proud to have the Menstrual Digna Mexico since the beginning. We are together. And for this year, we have already decided the slogan or theme, and that is the dignified menstruation is integral for ending sexual violence and child marriage. Is a Global South coalition representing the Global South, and we are suffering more with the sexual violence and child marriage. That is why to advocate about it is very, very important. And I appeal everyone to mark the 5th International Dignified Menstruation Day. And thank you very much for having us, and have a good day. Thank you.